I don't know if you can see this. We'll begin back in a second. I'm just trying to sort out what is going on today. We're having a bad day for getting things going. We got so far and then it's kind of gone downhill. So we're trying again and we'll see what we can do. Hopefully you can see me and you can hear me, and we'll get you back soon. This is the third attempt today at trying a live stream. It's not been working so well so far, so we've got to give it another go and see what happens. Somebody's found me again. That's good to see. I'm trying a different way. I've managed to get back to going to my phone for now. I hope you could see. And we'll just see how it goes. Hi, Andy. Good to see you. Nice to see you here. We've tried using another stream. I've tried twice so far. We've crashed twice so far. I've just ended up putting my phone on and we're trying it this way for a change. See how we go. I've been talking about the videos that I did this week. I've done a couple of videos. The first one about why I gave up social media. Quickly, in case anyone hasn't seen that, the reason I gave up social media was I was spending too long on it. Hi Steve, good to see you here. I'm glad you can hear me properly now. I've just had a quick change up. They're terrible when it cuts off. Andy, were you watching it already? Because it's been a pain so far, to be honest with you. But I don't know where I'd got to. Quick recap. I found out last week that I'd been watching my phone for far too long during the course of a day. Right, you haven't missed anything, so I don't need to go back over that then, should I? Now, let me think where I was. I've totally lost track. Can anyone remember where I was before? So let me think. Yeah, I'd done some videos. I talked about where I'd been. This is terrible. I've completely lost track. Someone was telling me what grinds their gears. That was it. First thing this morning, I saw it. So what I did, I clicked on to their profile, and when I got up there, it was somebody who was probably in their late teens, but they may have been in their 20s. And so the thing that I put on the answer to him, I know what grinds your gears, is it old people moaning about the things that annoy them? I thought that was a good answer for him because he's probably going to give me some stick anyway. That's what my feeling was. So I thought I'd get it in early and thank him for commenting. But as to yet, I haven't had a reply. So there's not much I can do about that. I can understand why that annoys me. But I'll tell you what to do, Andy. Go back to that video. Hi, Chris. Sorry, I've had to start all over again. Go back, Andy, to the comment that you was made on there, because at some stage, I'm going to have to make a second copy of that video because there were so many other great comments that I think it'd be really good. You sat thinking about all the things. Hi, Jonathan. Good to see you're all managing to find me again. Don't know what's gone on this morning, but it's not good, is it? Or this afternoon. Yeah, so like I said, that was that. I got somebody, Chasey Delaney, has been in touch with me, and she was asking me if I'd talk about starting over again, changing things round. Hi, Luke. Yeah, you're back in sync. This is me. Yeah, Chasey Delaney asked me about starting things over again and how I felt about it. And what I think is that I'm doing that again now. I've changed the channel again in the last week. Andy, you don't want to turn into your dad. Do you know what happens? That happens because it happened to me. Let me tell you something. When I was 16, 17, I suppose, we had an amusement arcade on a holiday camp in Somerset. Hi, OJ. Welcome back. We had an amusement arcade on a holiday camp in Somerset, and this time of year was our busiest part of the year, and we'd open from 9 o'clock in the morning till about 11 o'clock at night. We didn't get any days off this time of the year, and I'd have to get up at 7 o'clock, go in there, clean it all up, over the floor, dust the floor, clean the machines, get everything all back so it was sparkling for this coming day. And at the end of the summer, we'd had 42 days on the trot through the 6 weeks that the kids were broke up. And I can remember saying to my dad, you see what, when I've got kids, I'll never make them do what you've made me do. Because I always felt he was a bit strict. And what I found was when I had my own kids, I turned into my dad automatically. I can remember doing things and saying things to the kids that he'd said to me 25 years earlier. And if he'd have lived to have seen it, I'm sure he would have been highly amused. So, yeah, I think what happens is you all turn into your dad or your mum, depending on if you're a man or a woman. I know I certainly did. So, Luke, if you've turned into your dad, it's just par for the course, I think. Or is it Andy? Andy, wasn't it? Yeah, so life's like that, I'm afraid. We do turn into people. I think it's our upbringing, all of us. I think we're shown a way of living, if you like. Hi, Deb. Welcome back. If anyone is just coming here, and see, I keep laughing when people come back on here. This is the third attempt I've had at doing this stream today. Hopefully this is going to keep going for a minute. We're at 7 minutes, so we're doing okay so far. Yeah, we turn into our parents, and I think that's part of getting older. And you can moan about that as one of the things that annoys you as well. And I could have done too, because my parents were really strict. We used to open our arcade and our bingo on this holiday camp at the beginning of March, and we didn't close till October, and we opened every single day. And I can remember hating it. We had a cash desk, right, where we used to give change to the machines, and my mum made my dad cut the back out of it so that he could see through the window and see whether my head was facing down or up. Because if I was reading a book, he'd tap on the window to lift my head up so I could see what was going on in the arcade. So it's, yeah, it's one of those things. But I as much as I hated the way that we had to work, and I thought he was a slave driver. I used to ask him for I said to him once, can I have half a day off, Dad? And he went, yeah, of course you can. As soon as you've done 12 hours work, you can have the rest of the day off. So, yeah, if you've turned into your parents, it's going to. But there, as I was saying, going back to the annoying things, I am most definitely going to make those comments into another video, and I'm going to do that. Hi, Cristiano, how are you? Yeah. Same noises. When I even made that video the other day, I stood up, and as I stood and lifted myself up, my elbow clicked. I thought, oh dear, there's a state to be in. But that's part of getting older, isn't it, I suppose? Now, moving on. Chasey Delaney did ask me about how I felt about starting over if I wanted to do something differently. Well, that's what I'm doing with the channel at the moment. I don't know if you've kind of noticed it. I'm trying to be a little bit more light-hearted with it, although I'll still cover the same stuff. But I want to have a bit of a smile on my face, because at the moment it seems to me that I'm far too serious, and that's not the way I really am. I'm sorry to hear that, Jonathan. It's tough, I can imagine. Yeah, moving this forward, it's I kind of like to laugh in my life. I kind of like to have a bit of enjoyment in my life, and I think I need to bring that to the channel a bit. And so I am changing bits and pieces on here at the moment. I'm not completely changing the direction of how things go, but I'd like to have more of a laugh. I think when we have these live streams and we have a chat on the live stream, that often we find that it's quite a bit funnier. And you guys make me laugh, and it's something that we don't seem to get when we're talking about doing videos, because it's just me talking to you. I don't get that feedback, and that's a bit of a shame, because I love the feedback that I get here, and I love the fact that someone will say something in the comments and it will make me giggle. That's just what it does. And so I like that, and I'd like it to be transferred a bit into my video. So if any of you've got ideas for videos that you think I could make that would be a little bit more light-hearted, then please get in touch, because I would love that. Now, talking about getting in touch, I've started blogging again, which was something I used to do all the time, but I stopped it probably about 7 or 8 years ago. And I started blogging again. When I stopped doing the social media, I started blogging. And on the Substack account that I've started, you can sign up to Substack, and I'll be doing a newsletter. The newsletter goes out every Monday. And what the newsletter is, it's the blogging that I do on Substack. I'll put links to all of the posts I've made over the course of the week, and also the links to the videos that I've made, in case the algorithm starts to pass you by. So in case you don't see my videos that week, if you want to, that is, then signing up to the Substack will be great. And down below in the description of here, there is a link. So if anyone wants to sign that, that would be great. I would love to see you there, because to be honest, when I do blogs, I can actually tell the stories more than I can on here, and in a better way, because I often like to talk about people that I've encountered in my life who've helped me move on. And I don't feel that I can do it on here, right? I'm one of those that when I write something, I don't know if you do it, if you ever write something, do you go back to it and check it again later and realise, no, that's not what I meant to say, and you change it and you keep changing it? Well, that's what I end up doing with my blogs. So when I send it out by the following Monday, I've already done the 42 changes on each blog till I've felt that it actually is what I meant to talk about. Luke, pandas. If you think watching boxer dogs is funny, pandas. My wife is a huge panda fan, and she started showing me videos, and I got to be honest, they absolutely curled me up. I thought they were brilliant. Next week, what am I doing next week? I've got a couple of ideas for videos. The reason I'm looking down there is because I've got some notes. Yeah, as I said, I'm going to be doing a video next week with what I've replaced social media with in the 40 hours over 10 days that I could do something else. Do you know what, Luke? I've been thinking about picking up my brushes again. I keep thinking about it. I learnt to sign right This is just one of those things, right? I learned to sign right because I was skint. I hadn't any intentions. I just got married. It was 1982. And if you go on a fairground, you know those round hoopla stalls? I'd been given one as a wedding present, but it was such horrible colours. It was navy blue and maroon, and I hated it. And so in the winter, I decided that I was going to paint the patterns out in the panels that go around the bottom. And I thought, the outside of the frame was yellow, which I didn't mind, so I thought I'll paint them cream. And then when I built it up that summer, they looked horrible. They looked so drab. I didn't like it. And so what I did the following year, we lived in caravans at the time, okay, trailers. And I didn't have a shed or anything. I'd only just got married. And so I decided to repaint these shutters and do a pattern. I thought I'll have someone do it first. And I went to see a signwriter that I knew, and there was no way I could afford for him to do it. And so what I did, on the ride that I had, there was a pattern on the bottom panel. And so I redrew it and drew it smaller to fit into each of these shutters. And I traced the pattern on, and then I learnt myself how to paint it. And it took me a whole winter, and I did it on my dining table in our living room. And I took it day in, day out. It took me a complete winter to do it. And that's how I started doing it. But from doing it, I started to pick up some skills along the way. And other people started asking me if I'd work for them. So I bought a porter cabin and put that in the yard, and I turned it into a paint shed. And I slowly started sign writing. But if you think about, not so much sign writing letters, but the patterns that are on fairground rides, or used to be back in the 80s. And so I started painting like that. And so I developed, over a period of time, completely self-taught, but I did manage to learn myself how to sign write. And I've been thinking about it, because in my garage here, all my paints are still there, all my brushes are still there, and I kind of have the urge. So you never know, I may actually start doing a little bit, and you can watch as I mess up, because I tried about 4 or 5 years ago when the lockdown was on. I did paint a sign that I put out in our front, in the front of our garden by our tree, that said, "Be safe, it will get better." And any time anyone went past, they could see it. And so I think that I might just pick up a brush and do something and make a little video about it, just for something different. Whether you'll find it boring or not. Plans to write a self-help book. Jonathan, no, to be honest with you. The reason I wouldn't want to write a self-help book is because I'm no different to you. I'm not a guru. I'm not trained. I'm not a psychiatrist or whatever they're called. You know, one of them proper people. What I do is basically recount what I've been through and what I found worked to get me out of the situation that I was in. And so I don't feel that I'm the right person to write a book, because I don't think that anything that I tell you is other than really what I've taught myself along the way. 1 second. Just going to give you an example of something that I painted. It's going to be, let's have a look. The trouble is, you're now looking at this and seeing everything backwards. So if I showed you any painting with writing on it, it would look wrong. So I talked about that hoopla stall of mine. I don't know if you can see it from here. There you go. Can you see that all right? That's the stall that I painted up. That was the one that I did. And I copied it from a panel on my ride. I also did stuff like things like this. Can you see these? That's of the kids' fairground juvenile ride. Yeah. So those are sorts of things that I've done. Or this is me with a paint. This is my ride, and I painted this as well. I know it's probably backwards as you're looking at it, but that's the kind of stuff that I did. Do you know what, Luke? I kind of like the idea of that. I like the idea of these sorts of live streams being like a chat between us, as though we were in a pub. I like the coming and going. Mind you, it's because, as you've probably worked out, if I'm not making a video with my notes to keep me on track, I kind of go like that. So, yeah, that's what these live streams are like. I have to tell you about something that I did this week. And it may be the cause of the problems that I had earlier on when I was doing the live stream earlier. Over the course of this week, as the things that I've just done, picked up photos and shown you, I'm not able to do that in a way on YouTube when I live stream, where I could put it on as a photo and it just fitted on. But there is some software called OBS, which is streaming software, which I downloaded in the week, and I got it on here, and I put my camera on it and got everything going, and I recorded it, and it was perfect. It was really good. So I only had to click a mouse button and those photos would have come up in one section of the film, in one section of the screen, if you like. But when I came to try it out yesterday, everything was jerky. My voice was about a minute and a half behind. And so it was really bad. And then what I did, I went in and checked to find out why. And it wasn't working properly because I don't have fibre internet. We're still using normal one. And my upload speed isn't anywhere quick enough. Anyone else who uses OBS, if it freezes? I'll remember that if OBS ever, it would freeze up on mine because my computer's fine to run it, my internet isn't. Now they've put in fibre outside, but apparently it's not going to be ready until the new year. So I'm going to keep it on my computer and I'll have to do lives like we're doing now. Now, let me just have a quick catch up. I remember the pub from before the internet. Yes, pubs, where we used to go and have a chat. I used to love the pub. Not for drinking, but for having a chat. When we was on fairgrounds, you know, I'll go back to that again. We'd be open and we'd shut about 10:15. And we'd rush over the pub as soon as we closed. And there'd probably be about 20 of us in there. And we'd buy a couple of pints and sit there and sit in there as long as we possibly could, just having a chat about what's going on in the day, things that have happened to us and that. And it was brilliant. I used to love that. And in the winter, we stopped in a great big yard, all as part of a showman's yard, and we'd go up the pub and we'd always have a laugh and a talk, and that was always great, and I loved the pub for that. Nowadays, though, pubs are just full of food. I only ever go to a pub when you're going out for something to eat. And I kind of miss the old style pubs, but if this live stream makes you feel as though you're going to a pub, get your own beer. I don't mind. I'm drinking water, by the way. If it feels like that, that's perfect. That's how I like this idea of doing a live stream. I want it to be a bit of fun and something that we all can kind of contribute to, because when I'm doing the video, obviously, you can't contribute until we get to the comments. And I love the comments, by the way. Keep commenting as often as you can, because I absolutely love it. And I try and answer every comment if I can help it. Some may get past me, but I don't know how, because I spend a lot of time answering comments. Let's have a look. His fingers in the film. Right, now I'm totally lost. I'm totally lost by your last comment, Luke. I haven't a clue what that's about. So yeah, I really would like to start doing live streams on a regular basis. Saturday today is an odd Saturday that I don't have much else on, so I thought I'd jump on and we'd do this. Ideally for me, it's a weekday thing. I don't know what the best day to do it is. I started doing it on Wednesdays, and then I had problems with my phone, so that stopped that for a while. But I don't know, probably what I may have to do, I've always tried to do everything so that the evenings are free, so that I get some time with Debs, because she's out working in the day. I work from here, so we don't see each other all day. So I kind of try not to do anything like this of an evening, but maybe one. I'll see what she says. Maybe one a week would be nice. What do you think? Would you like to join up for a weekly live stream? You can give me ideas in the week what you want me to talk about. I'm sure we could do that. Is there anything that anyone would like to talk about now? I kind of came on here with a few ideas what I wanted to talk about. I've done it over 3 videos today. What was that? Talking about father and son talks. Do you remember Till Death Do Us Part? Yes, I do. But funny thing was, I never really liked it. I know all my mates did, but I kind of didn't. I know as I've got older, I understand the Alf Garnett thing and the fact that he was running himself up. But I didn't like the way he spoke to his family. As a kid, my family never did that. And as you can probably tell, I might have been a bit of a serious child. I never really got it till Death Us Do Part, Jonathan. I've got to be honest. I didn't like the way that Alf Garnett spoke to everybody. My dad would never have spoke to any of his family or his son-in-laws or daughters like that. And it was so different to the way my life went, I didn't actually get it at all. I kind of watched a few of them, but yeah, it wasn't. I know everybody found it really funny. I can remember all my friends loved it. I was just the one who didn't. I didn't. Yeah, Chris, I've just spotted your thing come up on my phone. Your mother banned it because it was too common. Perhaps that's what it was. Because I have to say, and Debs and myself say this quite often, we're a bit snobbish on things like that. Right, let me just have a quick look, see what you've put up there. Raccoon, you'd love to hear about the vinyl collection you can see over here. Well, when I get OBS and I get it working properly, and it's all the right way round, then I probably will do. The huge music lover I am. I've got so many other things. Dialer Dealer, I know you've told me how to say it before, but I'm terrible. I've forgotten. I'm sorry. Have I considered having Debs as a guest on my channel? Do you know what? I'd love her to come on in here. But she She doesn't like it really. I bought this new camera the other week, and I thought I'll take it when we go shopping, and I'll put it on the shopping trolley, and I'll film us as we're going around to see what it films like. And she was standing at the other side of the aisle throwing things to me because she didn't want to be on the camera. So getting her as a guest on here, as much as I would love to, I'm not sure that it will happen. But she'd be a great guest because she's hugely funny. She makes me laugh all the time. Next. Are you being served? Didn't like that either. Dad's Army was okay. That vinyl collection looks like it deserves its own channel. Let me tell you something. We've mentioned this. I've got a photo here. I've just seen it, and I'll show you it. This is my second record collection. As a child, my first record was bought for me when I was 3 years old. It was the Beatles, I Want to Hold Your Hand. I've talked about it in other videos. And coming from a fairground, all of my dad's mates who had rides, when they bought new rides, new music to replace the old music, they would give the old singles to me. And so by the time I was about 10 or 11, I think I had about 1,000 singles. And I bought my first album when I was 6 years old with the money that I'd had on my birthday, and that was the Beatles Revolver. I have all of the Beatles albums up there. Huge Beatles fan. But this is my second collection, because when I lost my business in 1990, the only thing I had to earn a living with was my old record collection. And so I went on markets and had a market stall, and I sold my first record collection, and I had cassettes at the time, all sorts. And this was my market stall. Now you're going to be looking at it, it's probably all backwards, but can you see all those albums in there? There's albums, there's singles, there's everything. And I sold them all on that. And watching someone pick up an album or a single and bring it to me to buy it was like I was going to a funeral. I hated selling everyone. But as soon as I got back on my feet, I started buying records again. I'm nowhere close to the collection that I used to have, but it's pretty decent. But of course, the other thing, of course, is that I bought loads of CDs, and in 2002, I started converting them into MP3s. So I've got hard drives full of my music. And when I was doing discos back in 26 through to 2013 or something like that, I had 46,000 tracks on my computer, which I used, which were all records that I owned. So there was loads and loads of them. I've still got all those. And of course, whilst I was doing the discos, I started doing radio as well. So I used to get sent loads of new stuff every week. So I've got pretty huge collection. A lot of it is only on a hard drive. Some of the records are up there. Just to the side of me, there are tons of CDs there. Down the back there are CDs. There's records at the end there. There's records in my garage. There's records in my living room. So yeah, there's quite a big record collection that I've got. It does deserve its own channel, but I have enough trouble getting this one done, Luke. Right, what's next on here? Love Thy Neighbour would never get shown on telly today, but it should be, because it shows how stupid racism is. That's all I'm saying on the matter. I would never lend my records out, Raccoon, at any stage. I've actually lost so many records over the years. This Beatles collection that I've got up here is the third collection I've bought. I had one, I had to sell it when I lost my business. I bought it on CDs, and then I've gone back and bought it again as records. So that's the third time. Who else is asking me things? God, this page has gone up. You're all too fast for me now, or is it? Did I just talk too much? Actor's name in the pub. Blah blah blah. Steve. Yep, I've done that bit. Love thy name, but 1,000 singles. You're the same with books. I've also got loads of books. To this side of me, you can't see it from here. If I turn that, you can. That's my business bookshelf, I call it. It's got all of my books. You see them in the background on most of my videos. You see them. They're PMA books, positive mental attitude. They're non-fiction books. They cover all the stuff that I'm really interested in. In our bedroom, we've got another load of books, there's another bookshelf that high that's mostly got autobiographies and books about music. There's a book about my family in there. And then downstairs, we've got another bookshelf this size. And in there, on the top row of it, are books that have been written by relations of my wife, Debs. She's got writers in her family. So there's books there, and there's loads of stuff down there. So we've got 3 big bookshelves, basically, full of books. Camden Market had loads of good stuff. See, I know what Sub Pop is. Well, I can remember going in Camden Market, and there was a record stall, and on top of all of the albums there were bananas, and on each of the bananas he had the type of music, so different genres were scattered about on these records so that you could find what they are. That was at Camden. Next, terrible TV things. Curry and Chips, never did see that one, I'm afraid. Your first vinyl single. God, you make me feel old, Jonathan. Tragedy by the Bee Gees, the summer of 1979, if I remember rightly. Wow. Yeah, we don't have politics around me. I don't do politics. Ian Botham's cricket novel. I didn't know it. I played cricket against Ian Botham once when I was about 16 or 17. He's a couple of years older than me, and he used to play cricket for Somerset. And I went to a school in Somerset called Taunton School, and we played against a Somerset 11, and Ian Botham was in it, and he was absolutely superb and the best cricketer I had ever seen by miles. Andy, you can't keep up with music genres and subgenres. There are 2 that you need to know. If you get these 2 genres right, you don't need anything else. Are you ready? The music that I like, the music that I don't. That's it. You don't need to worry about all those other ones. Luke, Bucks Fizz. Oh, I love that. I love that someone loves a bit of Bucks Fizz. The single, Talking in Your Sleep. Trying to think what year that would be. Can't remember off the top of my head. I could cheat and just go on the computer and find out, but I won't. What else? What else can we talk about? Yeah, music. Well, in regards to music, it was really about all what you like and all what you don't. I stopped keeping up with music when I stopped doing radio, which was 2017. In 2017, I stopped doing it, and up to that stage, I had every single that entered the charts, well, the top 20 towards the end. It used to be the top 40. And I used to collect them all. Do you know what? So many of them I never played. I've got so many records that I bought and never played, and I still haven't to this day. I don't think if I never bought any more music, I've got enough that I could listen till the day I kick the bucket and not hear the same record twice. In fact, when I did radio, I was in a lucky position whereby I got to pick my own music. I used to syndicate my shows to radio stations all around the world. And hey, Kay, how are you? Good to see you. I know you don't normally make it to my lives. Yeah, so I used to be able to pick my own music, which was a joy. And I always tried to make sure that if I played a record once, unless it was requested by somebody, I wouldn't play it again for at least 6 months. So I had enough music that I never had to replay records over and over again. So that was always fun. Oh, do you know what? I could never play chess. I'm not clever enough. I'm tactically nowhere close clever enough to play chess. My kick the bucket list. What, of records, Jonathan? I'm pretty sure I could do a good one of that. Cristiano, let me tell you something. I've always thought this, that I could carry on buying oldies now and still be buying records for years and years and years that I've never heard before. In fact, I make folders up. I still have an MP3 player. I don't play them on my phone. I've got an MP3 player in my car, and then there's a folder in there of records that old records that I came across for the first time in the last 10 years. And there's at least 100 of them in that one folder. It's every single number one, eh? Very nice. Have you ever seen any big bands in really tiny venues before they made it? No, I haven't. I might be laughed at for this. I don't particularly like going to live music. I've seen Rod Stewart, who was pretty good years ago. I'm just trying to think who I've seen. I saw Lisa Stansfield, who sounded as good as she did on the records. The best two artists I've ever seen live were Bill Withers here in Cambridge back in the late 80s. And he walked onto the stage on his own, no backing band, and he pulled up a bar stool and he sat on a bar stool and basically told the stories behind each song that he sang. And I'll tell you, that was brilliant. Finding out the stories behind the songs was excellent. That was one of the best concerts I went to. Best all round has to be James Taylor. I think James Taylor is a sensational artist, and I've loved him for years and years. And he's another one who comes on stage, does his thing, no fuss, no fanfare, just comes on and sings the songs. And he was brilliant. We used to go and see the Stylistics a fair bit because we got to know them, and through radio and that, and they used to invite us to their things. Here's one for you. Debs. Her eldest daughter's godfather was the lead singer of Kool and the Gang through the 70s and 80s when they had all of their big hits. James Taylor. That's another James Taylor too. He's the godfather to Debs's eldest child. Junior Giscombe, who did Mummy Used to Say and Too Late and all those sorts of songs, sung with Stevie Wonder and all that. He's a good friend of Debs's as well. She knows a lot of people with a music background. I've got a photo somewhere of me when I was DJing with Phil Fearon out of Galaxy. I've got a photo with Lonnie Donegan, who is my ultimate hero where music's concerned since I was a little boy. But mostly the reason I don't like live too much, though, is because they always play a little bit faster than they do on the record. And they change things about. And I always want when I go and see an artist, I like it to be just like it was on the record, and it never is. So I kind of don't do a lot of live. What's next? George Michael did have an amazing voice, and if anyone should have replaced Freddie Mercury in Queen, it was him. I thought he was brilliant. Dark Side of the Moon, overrated? Well, I don't think so. I think it's quite a good album, personally. Your dad went in the same class as Noddy Holder. Wow. Loved Slade. When I was a kid growing up, Slade was one of my favourite bands. So, your dad, legend. In fact, he got to go to school with him. We've turned into a music live stream by the sounds of it. Right, anything else? I'm reading off this and just reading down. I'm sure that there are people here who aren't in the slightest bit interested in music and would rather talk about some of the other stuff. Phil Collins. I always thought he was brilliant. I really liked Phil Collins. Apparently he was a nice guy as well. I can remember reading in the paper years and years ago about a man who was about to lose his home, and he knocked on Phil Collins' door and asked if he could lend him £10,000 and explained his situation, and he did. Sounds like he's an all right guy to me, to be honest with you. How's the new addition to the family? She's lovely. She is lovely. She's just little and cuddly, like babies are. Did I see James Taylor at the Cambridge Corn Exchange? No, I didn't actually. I saw James Taylor at Bournemouth in the Bournemouth International Centre, the BIC. He doesn't strike me as a person who would smash things up. He seems like an old professor, to be honest. I've got photos I took of him. He shook my hand in the concert, and he doesn't strike me as someone who'd smash dressing rooms up. But hey, who am I to say? Have you been watching movies in the theatre? I don't tend to go to the pictures a lot, and there's a reason for that. I always find going to the cinema is too loud. The last film we went to see was that new Elvis film come out last year or whenever it was. And it was so loud, my ears hurt. I tend to I still buy DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff like that. I do a lot of my film watching there. There is a good little picture house in Cambridge, which is the Arts Picture House, and it's like old picture houses used to be. None of the big flash seats and all that sort of stuff. Are proper little pictures, and that's quite a nice little place. And they show films that aren't your general blockbusters and things like that. They show films that are a little bit off the wall, little bit off to the side, and I quite like them, which is some good films there. Films like Salmon Fishing in the Yemen was quite good. I saw that there. You've grown intolerant of people munching and crunching popcorn, slurping drinks. Oh, that made me laugh. I'm one of them. The drinks. I drink lots. Chris Pomfret takes his motorcycle earplugs to the cinema. So it's obviously as loud there for you as well. Your first film at cinema, Back to the Future. Great film. I've got that on DVD. I've got all of Back to the Future films on DVD. My first film at the pictures, I can't remember. My eldest sister said she took me to see Mary Poppins. And she took me to see 2001 A Space Odyssey. I remember that. God, that was boring when I was a kid. The one film that I do remember really well was one year when I was at school. I went to you know about public schools. I went to a public school, but before you go to a public school, there's a thing called a prep school. And one year in the exams, one of the students in our class aced everything, done really well in all the exams. And as a treat, his dad hired the local cinema in Burnham-on-Sea and took us to see Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, I think it was. We all went to the pictures in Burnham. It's a little pictures called The Ritz. Steve Vowles will know it very well because Steve and I went to school together when we was up to, I think, 10, Steve? We were some age like that. Me and Steve Vowles went to school together all those years ago. And we've met after about 50 years, a few years ago, probably about 3 or 4 up when I came to Burnham. Do you remember? I love foreign movies, I have to say. Love foreign movies. If you ever get a chance, see Cinema Paradiso, which is right up there as far as I'm concerned where films are. Along with the film Diva, Il Postino. Ooh. The stream's going weird for you, is it, Andy? Not just me. It seems to be okay here. I'm looking at it on my monitor behind the phone, and it seems to be going okay, but it's breaking up for some of you. I don't know. I have no answer to that. For the Hard Day's Night, Steve. Yes, great film. In fact, I've got that recorded downstairs. You can come with the subject weirdness. Oh, well, I'm your man for that, Andy. Anyway, a little crackling sound. That might be coming from this mic. I don't know. It's breaking up for you too, Kay. Ooh, well, if that's the case, Dick Van Dyke in the sequel. Oh, that was the one with Emma Thompson, isn't it? I love that film. What was it called? I can't remember now. It's the one with Emma Thompson. I saw that a while back. Italian Job, but for the first time last week. It was on telly, wasn't it? The other night I saw it was on there. I've got it on DVD somewhere. Wilfred Bramble was in Steptoe and Son. That's true, and he was also in Hard Day's Night. He was the granddad, wasn't he? Paul McCartney's granddad in that, if I remember rightly. What else have we got here? So we've talked about it was made before you were born. Fair enough. It was. I think I was 3 when it was made. What? You're only supposed to shoot the bloody doors off that line? Is that the one you're on about? Blow the bloody doors off or something like that. Good film. I like The Italian Job. I'm so glad that the Ritz is still going after all those years. The pictures in Burnham-on-Sea was called the Ritz. And for a while, we had a flat exactly opposite it. And I could look out on my bedroom window and see the Ritz cinema. So when I was a kid, if I'd have known better, if I was a cleverer person, but I was only about 6 or 7, I would have been in there and asked to have all the posters. You know, when they took them out, the big display posters. I love them. I wish I'd have known about it at the time. They only used to throw them away. I'd have collected them. I would have had nowhere to live because I've had thousands of things. But yeah, the Ritz Cinema is still going in Burnham-on-Sea. Burnham-on-Sea, in case you're unaware, is down in Somerset. It's about 25 miles from Bristol as a big point, I suppose, if you've ever been down that part of the world. And we were there from when I was 4 to when I was 16. When we had our arcade and our bingo there. We had one on the seafront, which was yellow, about 150 to 200 foot long, and it built over a wall on scaffolding. It would never be allowed in this day and age with health and safety. The Ritz in Brighouse. Where's Brighouse? Is that Nottingham? That way? Is that near Mansfield? I'm just trying to think. Just having a guess to see how good my geography is. He's probably somewhere miles away. Bermondsey. My brother was born there. I knew I'd be wrong, just outside Huddersfield. So it's nowhere near Nottingham then. Oh well, you can tell I didn't pass my geography. Let me tell you something, public school is not what it's cracked up to be. I was not the ideal student. Let me give you an example of the kind of student I was at public school. Having an amusement arcade, there used to be, and coming from a fairground family, back in the, it's still out now actually, but back in the 70s, there was a newspaper called The World's Fair. And inside the World's Fair was a bit for people who owned amusement arcades called Coin Slot. And it was about the machines and things. And in the Coin Slot, each week, they used to have the chart, the music chart. And my mum would send it to me. And she'd send me the music chart and I would read it every week. And I was in a chemistry lesson one day. And I had the newspaper and cut it out the shape of the textbook and had it sitting in the textbook. And so whilst the lesson was on, I was looking at the bit about the music with the reviews and all that sort of stuff. And my science teacher walked up to me and I didn't even notice. I was so concentrated on looking at the chart and the music, and said to me, "Mr. Murphy, give me the chemical breakdown of the Times Miss Grace," which was #1 at the time. And of course I had no idea what he was on about, because chemistry was a lesson I had no interest in whatsoever. And if I'd have only known then what I know now, I would have said she's made up of satin and perfume and lace, which is part of the song if you know it. But I wasn't that clever. And I got a detention. So that gives you an idea of what sort of a schoolboy I was. St Wreatham. Streatham. I know Streatham well. I used to go clubbing there in 2 clubs called the Bally Eye and the Cat's Whiskers back in the 70s when disco ruled the world. I've completely strayed, haven't we, this week? We've completely strayed away from my notes of what I was going to talk about, and we've gone on this little journey all together. So, is there anything that you would like me to talk about whilst I'm still here? Do you like the idea of me doing a weekly live stream? That was the other thing. Would you be interested in me doing a weekly live stream? You aren't a bad, it's not that you're a bad influence, Luke. The situation is, I can't keep to the point. I go off on one and then I'm talking about something else. Let's look at it. We've looked at fairground photos. We've talked about records. We've talked about music. No, I'm not interested in Prince Harry and his memoir. Now, I don't know whether you're Hot Raccoon. I don't exactly know how you pronounce your name, but I'm really glad that you're here. I know you only found us in the week, and I'm really pleased that you've enjoyed it with us, because we're a friendly bunch. The whole point of what I'm doing here is trying to build a community of like-minded people who try and think a bit positively if they can. And that's the way I would like to move on. I kind of think that outside in the real world and in the world of Facebook and most of the social media, it's all got really miserable. People are jumping down each other's throats all the time. And I feel like I want to be a little oasis that takes you away from that and gives you a little bit of positive. And that's what I hope for. Now, I'm enjoying this. I think it's quite nice having a chat about other stuff. When we finally get fibre and I can use OBS and do this properly, we can do things with about music and things, and I can have actually set it all up before, so I can press buttons and it'll screen like it does in the video, and make it far more professional and far more watchable instead of you just watching me. But that's kind of right. Don't forget the fibre. Oh, I wish I could. When they dug our road up, they dug all along the road out the front of my house. They dug all the road up, and we had a week of people just dust and all that sort of stuff. And I thought to myself, lovely, we'll be able to get fibre. They got it all in. They put it all in, and I inquired the other day about whether I could get fibre, and they said yes, it should be available sometime next year. So although we've got oh, sorry, Andy, I've seen your thing about keeping regular. You're not. It's Russian for raccoon. Ah. So you learn something new every single day. So just calling you raccoon is okay. That's all right then. That's what we'll do. So yeah, if the live stream seems to have done a wonder. And to be honest with you, everyone that I've done has kind of done that sort of thing as well. And so if you're happy with that, then I'm quite happy to chat like this. If you come onto a live stream and you've got some ideas of what you want to chat about, bring them with you, stick it in there, and we want to talk about this, we want to talk about that. 2 subjects aren't allowed: politics, religion. We don't do that. This is a home of niceness, I suppose. It sounds terribly glib, doesn't it? So yeah, if there's anything that you would like me to make a video about, please let me know. I can't guarantee that I'll do it, because I may know nothing about it at all, and then I'd just look stupid, wouldn't I? But yeah, I'm happy to chuck some other ideas out there for videos and that. Like I said, I've got 2 that I thought about for this week. You'll get to find out who my famous film star relation is. That's going to be in one of the videos. And I'll tell you about all the other stuff that I've managed to do. I'll tell you what, see what putting the... taking the social media off my phone, wherever it is now, because I've put it down somewhere. Taking the social media off the phone has freed my life up a lot. And I'll tell you one of the big side effects that is lovely about it. I haven't got stressed at all this week. Now, I know that doesn't sound like it's anything, that sounds a bit odd. But when I used to watch social media, I'd flick down the screen and read all of the rubbish that's being argued about out there and get wound up about it. And so this week, not having any social media has made it brilliant. It's made it really good. Luke, my notes for this one, this is what I was going to talk about. That has gone out of the window. That's gone out of the window, and we've sort of wandered off. I bet my battery life improves on my phone as well. Yeah, I expect it will do. Yeah, those notes, Luke, I just showed you. I covered all that in about the first 5 minutes, but it's over 3 videos because of 3 live streams. So that's what I'll do this week. We'll sort out when I think I can stick to a regular live stream time, so that Oh, I'm pleased about that, Kay. I thought it was just me. I've seen a couple. I haven't watched many live streams, to be honest. And the ones that I have seen have been pretty good and pretty on target for what they're talking about. And I did think that my videos and my live stream can't stick to the notes very well. I haven't watched mainstream news for years. I turned that off years ago. I stopped buying newspapers years ago. The only place I've been getting any of what's going on in the real world used to be social media, and now I haven't got a clue what's going on. And we avoid telly that's that way inclined. Any day but Sunday is good for you. This time is good too. So what, Deb, is it in Canada? If I start at 3, what's that, about 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock? There? I know the Americans have problems with that time because there are 3 different time zones and some's really stupidly like 5 o'clock or something. So 9 o'clock's okay, that's all right then. I can't see me doing a Sunday, to be honest with you. I'm surprised. I wasn't expecting to do a Saturday until a couple of days ago. Usually, the best day for me used to be Wednesday, and it probably still is. But I appreciate that people in England are generally at work at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so it does make it a bit awkward. But if you want me to do a weekly one, I will do my utmost and we'll see where it leads us. The only live TV you watch nowadays. I watch Top of the Pops. I record them on the Friday ones. I record all of the Top of the Pops and we watch them whenever the urge strikes us. They show the 80s ones. It feels like lately we've seen nothing but 80s. I would personally like if they showed us early 70s for a change. I don't watch the ones in the 90s because fact of the matter is when I lost my business at the end of 1990, early 1991, the last thing on my mind was music because I was too busy trying to keep a house over my head. So music kind of went out the window for me till about 95 or 96, and by which time it was Britpop. And I couldn't stand Britpop, to be honest with you. So I never got really back into the music of then. So, yeah, Raccoon, I haven't watched any of the 90s episodes at all. I don't bother to record them. I watch the 80s ones. I watched a good one last night. It was 1982. The story of 1982 or something I watched last night. That was really good. But, yeah, with regards to music, I'm a pop-tart. I will tell you now, I'm a pop-tart. I have a range of records and a range of music that I love that can go from, listen to this is superb, to please don't judge me by this record. Because I've got stuff right across the board. I love the novelty song. So I've got all sorts of stuff from all sorts of eras. And I can understand that, Deb. It kind of went downhill after that, didn't it? My problem in the 90s, it was the 90s, late 80s, 90s when MTV came to this country on Sky. When I got Sky, I kind of watched a bit then in the late 80s. But like I said, the 1990s went by in a flash because I was so worried about how I was going to feed my 2 kids when we lost our business that I kind of lost track of music and wasn't that bothered, to be honest, and have never really got back into it. Although I still bought records when I was doing discos and that, I was still buying records and playing them. But there's stuff that I don't actually play ever anymore now. In terms of 1970s, in terms of telly, they used to do that. They were so silly, weren't they, the BBC wiping their archives? You would think that they had enough money to have kept a load, wouldn't you? Only 40 to 50 episodes, wow. You learn something new every day. I did not know that. But I was very lucky with music. Like I said, as I had a lot of music very early on. One of my godfathers owned a record shop. And when I was born in the summer of 1960, my dad had an amusement arcade in an amusement park which was called the Casino at Canvey Island, not far from Southend in Essex. And the guy that was my godfather who ran the record shop used to make him reel-to-reel tapes up with all the hits of the late 50s and 1960. And those were the first songs that I heard, and they are probably my most precious possessions. And here they are. These tapes, all of them, are older than me, and I'm 65. And these are full of 50s, 1958 mostly, some 59, and up to about May of 1960. Loads of great records here. And these are the songs that started my love of music. On here, you've got everything from Elvis to Connie Francis, to Brenda Lee, to Russ Conway, to the Cliff Richard, all of those. Anyone who was anyone in them days, I've got on these tapes. And that's a complete another thing we could talk about, my love of reel-to-reel tapes, my music from there. But that's where it all started for me, right back then. I'm drifting from one thing to another. We're talking about telly here. Z Cars. I've been watching Z Cars on TPTV. They show them on there. 79 issues of Doctor Who. Do you know I never watched Doctor Who? I never really got it. The only thing I got about Doctor Who is we had in our arcade. I don't know if Steve can remember this. We had a machine, a little ride-on machine that was a Dalek. And you could go in it, put sixpence in the slot, and it would spin round, right? It would spin round and go, "We will exterminate you." And that was the thing that I know most about Doctor Who for, was a machine that we had in our arcade. Next show, dressed in the style of the 70s. I thought, what I'd do. I am not a fashionable type person. And I wasn't in the 70s. The nearest to being fashionable I was in the 70s was a pair of Oxford bags with a 24-inch bottom at the trousers. So that was like that. And if you got caught in the wind, it'd blow you away. Platform shoes. Oh, God. 70s was terrible. I had a cheesecloth shirt in blue and white. It's amazing. They're like bad nightmares that I still think about. Fortunately, though, I have no photographs of them. No photographs at all. The nearest photographs I've got are about 1979, and I'm wearing beige dungarees. Brute deodorant. Have you got it on a rope? Soap on a rope, one of the big things of the 70s. We were talking about this, me and Debs, the other day, right? I've got some old photos of our arcade, and we had a bingo in the arcade. My dad used to wear Old Spice Jonathan. We had a bingo in our arcade, and we gave prizes away. And we were looking at the photos the other day of the prizes that people used to play bingo for in the 70s, and that was brilliant. We was just like going through these photos and seeing things like a continental quilt was new in the mid-70s. No one had them. We had mug sets, old footballs, a Wembley 5 ball. Some of these things, some of you have never heard of, I understand that. But to us, we have wonderful memories of the stuff that we used to have in there. Oxford bags, you know what I'm talking about. So the 70s was a great time. The clothes was awful though, weren't they? They were really awful if you think back at it. So have I got anything from the 70s? No, I don't think I have. Jonathan, I think you're obsessed with making me dress to look silly, like a clown. I've got photos of me looking like a clown. I can give you one of them. Right, we're 1 hour and 15 minutes into this part. Teasmaids, yes, we had Teasmaids, and we had hostess trolleys. Do you remember them? We used to have hostess trolleys. We used to have dolls in big boxes for kids. We used to get Christmas presents that came off of the bingo. All the things that we get for Christmas, we would we'd open these big boxes and there'd be all presents that we got from me mum and dad got for Christmas. Talking of Christmas and talking of music, one last little story I'll tell you. When it came to Christmas of 1973, my record player had died and I wanted a new one. And I asked my mum and dad for a record player. And my mum said, you're not having a record player. You're going up to this public school soon and you need to get your act together. So we're going to buy you a desk so you can do your own work and get your own work sorted and you can revise for when you go to your new school. And so it came to Christmas, and when I got up Christmas morning, I went downstairs and my Christmas present was in a box. I'm going to stand up. That was probably as high as that. Big wide box. And I thought to myself, oh God, I've got a desk. They've got me a blooming desk. And I started to unwrap it, trying to keep a smile on my face because it was Christmas, but being miserable because I thought it was a desk. And I undone the first box, and then there was another box and another box and another box, and it got smaller and smaller. And when I got to the last box on it, it was a record player. It was a Dansette Capri SL. Have a look on Google. You will see plenty of photos of them. And on the record deck, on the deck of the record, there was Slade's Merry Christmas Everybody was the first record that I had on that record player. And I absolutely love that record player. And I kept it for maybe 3 or 4 years till I got one of them stereo ones with lift-off speakers back in the day. So yeah, Slade, Merry Christmas Everybody was the Christmas of 1973 was my Christmas box, and it of course followed my love of music. Yes, Raku, and I tell you, that day everybody heard that over and over again. My dad in our living room had one of them big long gramophone things, you know, with a record player, and it was like a bit of furniture and the lid lifted up, and inside the lid there was a record player. And my dad loved all that James Last stuff and Ray Conniff and who's there? Henry Mancini, Edmondo Ross, all them sorts of stuff. Stuff that I hated at the time. Hated it. He'd play that. And there was, in the bingo, there was a singer, Americans and Canadians won't know who this is, right? There was a singer in the 70s, early 70s, called Max Bygraves, who did a series of albums called Sing Along with Max. And it was like a medley of all songs from the war years. And I absolutely hated them. And then with that, we used to have to play it in the bingo because we'd get 60-year-olds, old people in the bingo. And I used to have to play it in between in the records, right? And I hated these songs and I hated these albums and things. But you know the funny thing? My dad died in 1994. My mum died in 1997. As the years have gone by, I've grown to love them records. I've been out and bought the complete Max Bygraves sing-along albums. Up there I've got box sets of Connie Francis, Henry Mancini, Edmundo Ross and Ray Conniff. I have all of those things that I hated when I was a kid, I now love. You would never see it on the telly today. There was a thing called the black and white minstrels. And my mum and dad loved that. And they used to be on the telly and we used to watch them all the time. And to be honest, even then, I didn't mind them. I thought they was all right. And as the years have gone by, I've grown to love those songs as well. And so as I've got older, probably since I was about 50, I suppose, I started collecting the records that my dad used to have in his collection. And even now, on a weekend in the UK, we have a radio channel called Boom for oldies like me. And then there's another channel, its partner channel, is called Boom Light, for oldies like me who are 10 years older than I am. And they play all the stuff that my mum and dad loved. And on a weekend, I play Boom Light on the radio before I get up in the mornings. And it's like, takes me back and puts me in a happy mood before I start my day. And so that is a big, big love for me. Your dad taught you to polka, did he, Deb? Love that. I can remember laughing at that when I watched Good Morning Vietnam years ago. And Adrian Cronauer wanted to play rock and roll, and his captain, who was in charge of the radio station in the film, wanted him to play polka music. And I actually really quite like it. And kind of collecting bits of it as well. So in my collection, see, those of you that thought this collection is full of great stuff, oh dear, it looks better than it actually is, I have to say. So what have we got here? Sending the clown for your dads. So your dad was in radio, was he, Luke? Oh wow. And it's funny what we learn about each other when we have live streams. Chris Pomfret's just said that his granddad had a massive radiogram and looked like a coffin on legs. That's what ours looked like. We bought one. I don't think I've told you about that. About 10 years ago, I suppose, maybe a little bit less, we went to an opening of a second-hand shop. And when we went there, they had a little music system, not a big long one, but it was a little, probably about as wide as that, with a record player in it and a radio in it and that. And it was such a pretty little thing, we asked to buy it. And they said, no, it's not for sale because it doesn't work. It's not working. And I went, I don't care whether it's working or not. I just love it. It's so pretty. We've got a hallway as you walk into our house and it fit just nicely there. And we convinced them to sell it to us. So we brought it home and it was made by His Master's Voice. And there's a date on it of 1959. And it sits in my hallway even now. I plugged it in and managed to get the radio going on my own. But the record player didn't work. But I wish I did. I had a friend who sadly passed away about 6 years ago. But he was a wizard at all of that stuff. And he comes from Great Yarmouth, which is about an hour and a half's drive from me. And he came over to my house one day and fixed it and got the record player going. He did it in about 25 minutes. It still wouldn't be working now if I'd have had to do it. And he got it playing. And the first record I played on it was Connie Francis's Lipstick on Your Collar, which came out the same year that was made. And I've got a little collection of records that sit in this gramophone which are all from 1959, and it still plays and it still sounds quite good. It's got a lovely basic speaker on it, and that is a joy. That was, but my gramophone is, it's not a long one, it's a small middle size. I'll take a photo of it and I'll talk about it sometime, and I'll get a photo up so that you can see it. Right, where are we doing? There's nothing wrong with I've got a brand new pair of roller skates. If you lived in this country, and some of you were about in 1976, but the Wurzels did their own version of it, Deb, called I've Got a Brand New Combine Harvester, and I'll give you the key. And the Wurzels were a big thing in the UK at the time. They had 2 #1 hits in the summer of '76. One of them was Combine Harvester. I can't think what the other one was. But when I was doing discos, when I lived down in Weymouth, I did discos, and the Wurzels were on the stage at the same time as me, and they were brilliant. The Wurzels. They used to have a steam fair down in Dorset. Ooh-ah, that's it. They used to have a steam fair in Dorset called Stour Pane, and the Great Dorset Steam Fair. And each year the Wurzels used to go, and there was one of them big massive tents, and there was a stage in there, and the Wurzels would play every year, and thousands would try and cram into the tent to watch them. And they're an acquired taste. That was the other one. I am a cider drinker. I drinks it all of the day. See, I can even do Somerset because I lived there for so long. Yeah, so there. Yeah, that was. If you think of, I've got a brand new combine harvester and I'll give you the key, it goes to the tune of I've got a brand new pair of roller skates. And the song actually is called Brand New Key by Melanie. I know the one you're on about. Loved it. Luke, it was a downhill strike. That must have been cool hearing your dad on the radio, Luke. I can imagine. Although my boys used to say it was a bit cringy when they used to listen to my radio shows, of which there are 2 of my radio shows still online that you could hear. And I'll put a link to them in, let me think. Not this week's newsletter, which goes out. You're going to have to subscribe to my Substack account. Links down below in the description. But I will put a link to my last 2 radio shows that I ever did. They're still online, and I'll put the links to both of them there so you can hear what kind of DJ I was. One's an oldies show, and the other one had everything from Tom Petty to Lady Gaga. It's a bit different, wide-ranging one, but they're the last 2 shows I ever did, and they are both online still. And I won't do it in this week's newsletter because it's on Monday, but I will do it in the following newsletter. I'll put the links to them in there, so if you ever wanna, then that's fine. See, Steve Vowles, you will know the Wurzels as well as I do. Coming from that part of the world, they're pretty darn famous, aren't they? Deb, sappy, sad music like the old Bee Gees. There's nothing wrong with that. Bread, Dan Fogelberg. We had one of his songs at our wedding, me and Deb's. So I'm not going to moan about that. Brian had a friend who only had one tape to play in his car. Creedence Clearwater Revival. I loved them. I think they were great. John Fogerty was lead singer. Awesome voice. So, I'm still talking. It's 1 minute and 1 hour 29 minutes. That's crazy. So, this has been fun today. We can, if you like to have a little wander on these live streams, then by all means, I don't mind that whatsoever, as you can tell. What else? What else? What else can I talk to you about? Just trying to see if there's anything of interest in here. No, I'm at a loss. Unless you've got anything that you want to quickly chat about, I think we ought to wrap this up. An hour and a half. I think I've held you for far too long. But it has been fantastic. I've really enjoyed today. Eventually, after I had 2 attempts before this to go on, do a live. The first one lasted about 3 minutes. The second one lasted about 8. And this one has lasted. So, music trivia quizzes. We could do some of that. I could do music trivia. It's probably the one subject in this world that I've got some real knowledge about. Yeah, it was third time lucky, Chris, because I had you lot chasing everywhere, didn't I, to try and find me. It was like try and chase and find the sand scratcher. He was here a minute ago, but now he's over there. So that's about it from me as far as I can think. This has been really fun for me. Thank you guys. You have made it pretty special, to be honest with you. All them novelty songs from down the years. Steve, don't start me on novelty songs. I love novelty songs. You know, Flying Purple People Eater and all them. Love them. We can do one where we can talk about them. There's no problems with me. There was an album out in the 70s. Before we go, I'm keeping you again. An album out, a K-Tel album called Goofy Greats, which was full of things like that. Like 7 little girls sitting in the backseat, hugging, kissing him with Fred. Flying Purple People Eater. What else? They're Coming to Take Me Away, haha. That single by Napoleon, whatever he was, if you turned it over and played the other side, it was exactly the same song, but played backwards. I know, because as you can tell, I had that in my collection. Fish Heads from Barnes. Now, I should know that. I should know that because it rings a bell, but I can't for the life of me think what it was. Magic Moments. Always felt no. What? Magic Moments, Perry Como. I love that record. Love Perry Como, Magic Moments. You know, I'll never forget the smell of the sweat from under her armpit. That's the one. Yeah, the matching bit. Yeah, I'll never forget the smell of the sweat from under her armpit. Yeah, Magic Moments, brilliant record. Loved it. Yeah, we can do that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'll sort out a day. The trouble is the time wise. I'll see what Debs thinks. If she doesn't mind me doing it in the evening when she's home from work, ideally about 6 o'clock would be good for me, so that I don't spend all night chatting to you, because as much as I've enjoyed doing this, I do like my time with my wife. We have a good laugh. I like spending time with her, so that's what we do. Snooker Loopy Nuts Away, yep. Oh, this is good. This is good. Look, all of the songs are coming out. Just as I was ready to go, they dragged me back in. Yeah, loads and loads of novelty songs. Love all that. So, guys, are we going or not? You tell me. This has been fun. This has been a fun afternoon. You draw the line at Mr. Blobby. Why? I liked Mr. Blobby bouncing about with the gunge machine and all that stuff. What about... You need a couple. Whispering Glass. Sing Up Lofty. Now, Windsor Davis... I went in a pub with him one night at Mitcham, way back in the 70s, probably about 78, may have been later, been a 1980 even. I went in the pub with Windsor Davis and he got mightily drunk. He was a lovely man and very, very loud. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, Al Pacino, yeah, from that film. So yeah, Windsor Davis, He was a nice fella. I only met him one night, but he was a nice fella. Right, that's it. If I'm looking at my monitor, the picture's breaking up. I liked the other side of Funky Moped Luke. The other side of it was called Magic Roundabout. And it was a Mickey take on the programme of the same name. Ting Tang Walla Walla Bing Bang. Ooh, ee, ooh, ah, sing Ting Tang Walla Walla Bing Bang. Loved that song. Witch Doctor. David Seville and the Chipmunks. Originally done it. In the UK, it was a hit for Don Lang. And there I go, like Mr. Encyclopedia about music. The Monty Python songs, yes. Right, I'm calling it a day, all right? Because I don't think it's fair to keep you all here on this Sunday. I imagined this live stream being about half an hour, to be honest with you. This has been the longest one yet. And I will do my very best to sort out a day and give you plenty of warning for it, and we can do this all again another time. Thank you very much, everybody. You have made this such fun. We'll do it again. I'll see you later.